And we're live.
Yes, we are.
I'm not seeing it yet on YouTube.
Oh, it says that we are.
Okay, yes. Boom. Mute. And let's go. So today the show is because we are going to jump to another frequency or whatever you call it, another aspect of language. Uh, I thought it was good to look back because yeah, to me and maybe to you guys, Julius Mentens, and to me myself that thinks I uh, found something. To me, it's still a bit vague. So I thought, just like me, everybody needs a resume. You guys? Okay. Well.
Yes, we can hear you.
So what did we do in this little series? Uh,
Okay, so to
that,
hit
that,
on the big notes, I would say that we did the only language, or the actually the original language, which was a dive into the Akan slash the
yes, that was the second episode. We
yes.
started we started with yeah, um, the similarity in the universe. So we started with geometry and sacred geometry that defines the universe, right? That defines a vacuum. I
Mhm.
mean, the cube, the I don't know the names of the others, except for the tetragrammatron. But oh, I had them. I had them. I had a tab open, but I can't see their names.
Okay, you might have to
Doctor
change.
Dedron, Doctor Dron Don Don Dron, etc. And that's the structure of a vacuum, and and with that it's the structure of the universe, right? And
Mhm.
so since I claim that it's the same as in the mind, or I claim it to see it, so I'm looking for the same structures, the same sacred geometry in language, since language is in our mind, and our mind resumes the universe. But I, I always think I sound vague when I speak of this.
Well, I would say this, and you can add, subtract, divide. It's that we see the world, or our part of space or the universe through our senses, but the only way to describe it to someone else is through language. So the only way to confirm our perception and consciousness of the universe is through having a mutual way of describing it to somebody, to someone else that is not us. So, in other ways, we need someone to validate our reality, not just in the senses. So, if you see something, in space, and then you ask somebody, did you see that? If they saw it as well, that confirms your reality. But if they don't see it, then that's now up to debate. So in a way, having language is the way that we can communicate, either spoken, unspoken, oral, direct, indirect, whatever, however we define even communication as a whole, but language in particular is how we can make our perception of the universe to become um, communicable to somebody else. So it's sort of like, even someone who is colorblind, they still have a perception of colors. It's just that their way of seeing it is different from ours. That's an extreme way of seeing, color. But But language is almost the same thing. You can see the same thing, but you can describe it or have very different perceptions to it. So when we look at language as a way of the mind describing reality, is also the same way as, when you look at the mind, what really is in the mind. It seems like almost it's everything, and yet at the same time it doesn't seem that there's anything there at all. So yeah, but anyway, you can take on where as you wish, but that was my sort of take on it.
Yeah, the way you touched it, and maybe I'm digressing, but the way you touched it is made me think of how difficult it is to imagine yourself, to imagine your consciousness, because your consciousness. How do you describe your consciousness? By using words, right? But your words come from your consciousness, right? It's just like trying to prove that time doesn't exist, because time doesn't exist, right? But how are you going to prove it? But because it takes time to communicate with the other. When you're saying, hey, time does not exist, well, that's about 1 second.
Bro, Jose, don't we get old?
We oxidize, our body oxidize, our body
But
reacts
isn't that
to sorry, continue, speak.
if what I'm saying is isn't getting old a physical way to see time passing?
Well,
But
in your
that's
mind,
equating time to decay. You're saying that because things decay, that means the passage of time. But things also,
exactly, thank you.
But what do you mean? You're born a baby, you
Yeah, no,
grow, to a teenager, then you go to a young adult, then you go to middle. I don't understand how we saying time doesn't exist.
but what's changing though? The
what
what is changing when you look at it is what is changing is the space that you occupy. You occupy, the body of a child that is small and maybe weak, and then you become, different. So what is changing? What is changing is really space, the space that you occupy. So is actually time changing or just a succession of events
Yes, I'm still in between the
change?
same ears and the same eye and behind the same eyeballs that I was when I was 10.
Yeah, but
You know, when I remember, it's me on the play yard of the school. That's me. It's you know.
But what I'm saying also is that did time change or did space change? Did the space that you okay? What is really changed between you as a child versus when you're 7 years old? The space that you occupied. You can say, oh, the one thing this day led to that day. But if you're saying that if you're using decay as an argument for time, all you can say is that's not an argument for time changing. It's actually the argument for space changing, and that's the space that you occupy when you're a child. The space that you occupy and the cells that you have are different from when you are older. So that's not really time changing, it's just your body decaying. And the same way that the body decays is the same way that our bodies are constantly created. So stars die and some are reborn. So all that is changing is really space that is changing. What is the time in that?
I think you're just talking sexy right now. Y'all want to sound like philosophers and shit. You're born a baby, and then you go to old. Don't tell me that the time that you go from that your body goes from a little 9 months to like a 50-year-old that nothing happens. It's come
Yes,
on,
what
let's
I'm saying
stop that.
is okay, fine. It's time might be changing, but space is also changing as well. The space that you occupy, that your body is occupying as the space. That's the main thing that we're talking about. As time, if time was changing, let's say, but you remained the same. Let's talk about the portrait of Dorian Gray, where time was changing, but you as a person remained exactly the same age. You didn't grow older, or your features remained exactly the same. You didn't grow taller, shorter, wider, bigger, smaller. you agree, like those sequences in movies where somebody's standing, in one place and everything around them is changing.
So what would make you believe that time is happening? What evidence that you have that time is not going?
No, I'm just saying that decay is not, the whole of time. You're saying that because people grow older, the time changes. So I'm saying that decay is not really an evidence for time. It's more of a change in space. So
What? Tenzin, shut yo. Yo, stop that
Yeah,
bullshit. You growing old is space. So define space. What do you mean by space?
Okay, space is simply your three-dimensional, extrusion into the world. So that X, Y, and Z planes that you live in, that three-dimensional world, that space that you occupy, that's that's your body, that's your spatial body.
So what you're saying right now is that we as if you want to use that, so what you're saying that we're the same person that we were since the beginning of time. Because your great grandfather died,
yes.
your grandmother died, your mother, your parents will probably pass, you will pass. So when that happens, you tell me there's no time that went between there.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. That's what I think is the case.
You think that would what? I'm not. I'm saying there is such thing as time. The way you
what is
count
two?
time is different. Is the way you count time is a human thing, but I still think there's time.
Okay. Well, what I
how
asked
much
you
time?
earlier was
How much time does it take to remember 20 years ago? Something that 20 years ago. Where were you? In a flick of a switch, your mind is there. So what is time worth? You're in the past.
And the flick of the switch, yeah, you could go back and remember what you was doing, but can you physically bring yourself back there?
Yeah, but there you go again. Physically. What
physical is space. That's what I was saying, but continue.
But maybe time. Okay, how do you explain somebody with Alzheimer's who can't go back there?
How what do you mean? I mean, they just lost their mind and their sense of space.
So, Alzheimer's, when an old person develop Alzheimer's and can't go back to 20 years ago, or maybe somebody gets into an accident and they lose their short-term memory or their long-term memory.
Yes, yes is the answer. He can't go back. Yes.
So you're saying time is just, I don't know, man. Maybe the spirit might be timeless, but the body definitely faces time.
The body faces time. Yes. Yes.
So maybe your mentality, the mind, might be timeless or infinite, as you may say, but the body that we are operating definitely is submits to time.
I'm oxidating as we speak.
You oxidate from the first time you get out of your mother's vagina. You're on your way to death.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So if science said the body could live 125 years, are we saying that there's no time? Come on, let's not be that sexy. Like
no, but it's the body again. You said it. It's the body, and we're looking at a planet Earth right now, right? If we are at this distance from the planet Earth, right? What is a day worth? If I'm here, what is a day worth? I can see the sun practically anytime, right? I can watch as this planet turns around its axis. I can see the sun even if he is behind, quote unquote, the planet, because I'm looking over it, right? More so if we are here. More so even if we are here. How is the sun going to block me? How I'm going to tell that it's night? when it's constantly night, right? So what is time? What is time when I'm standing on the moon? What is a day when I'm standing on on the moon? Okay, well, the moon is tethered to the earth, so the moon might be a bad example. But you understand what I'm saying. When I'm standing here, what is 12 o'clock? What is midi? What is evening? What is morning? You know? So, but when I'm here in this spaceship, I remember, I remember, I remember 93 when I went for a very long vacation on the Cape Verde Islands. I remember 2000 when I was when I yeah, I had some good time in a vacation in Cape Verde. In Portugal. I mean, it was actually it was the very first time that it was a real vacation, but because normally you're in as an immigrant you're visiting family. But hey, it's 2000, and I'm there.
But in your mind, you could go your mind. You could go to the past. You could go to the present. You could go to the future.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I've been delineating the categories. So, firstly, you have what is considered, physical time. What Zuli was talking about, you see time passes, see, what I call entropy time is time that is in the material plane that is physical, and it only goes one way, which is, decay slash entropy. So it only goes one way. But the only way to describe that time, it only makes sense in space because Ezuli, for example, how would you describe the passage of time? You can only describe it by the change of things in space. So, the sun rises and sets, the child becomes older. And what I was telling you was if you stayed the same, you remained exactly the same, stayed the same, look the same, but the world around you was changing constantly about you. For you, yes, the time changed, but for you personally, your time did not change because you did not change with time. So time only makes sense when you think of it as a special thing. That time changes, whether in respect to the moon. So that way of looking at time. Time is simply the change in space. It doesn't exist outside of itself. You cannot describe absolute time. That doesn't make any sense unless you make
So
it.
what? So how do you explain when scientists talk about evolution? How do you explain
Well, that's also
evolution?
a change in space. It's a change of spatial objects, space, change in, biological space, change in, things going from one form to another. They are changing their form in space. That's still also a spatial change. There's no
Exactly.
change in time without space. So
Exactly.
what we talk about when we talk about time is really, time interconnected with space. It cannot be differentiated by itself. It is tied to a space, and it only goes in one direction, which is the decay.
And
Okay.
maybe it's even tied to heavenly bodies, because time only exists on the surface of the planet Earth. Only on the
Yes.
surface of the planet Earth is where a day is a day, and
Yeah.
an hour
So
is
it's
an
still
hour.
relative to the planet. And then you have the other one, which is the mental time. So you have the physical time, which is time connected to the physical material world of space. And then you have the mental time, which is, it's almost like an infinitive. The physical time is finite and it's linear. It only goes in one direction and it is limited. Then the mental space time is almost unlimited, but it's only contained in the past. Well, sometimes in the future, if you believe in prophecy and all that stuff, but mostly it can go back, it can go forth. It doesn't have to stay in one way. It almost, and then there's always the third one, but we're not going to get too much into it. But that's the dream time. Now, with the dream time, both time and space are just without any rules. You can go back and forth in time. You can go back and up and down in space. You
Yes,
can go.
yes. I'm looking for the as you speak. I'm looking for the similarities, with our mind, because imagine you have a bad day. Your dog died. You got fired. Your spouse left you because you cried in her or his opinion. You cried too much over an animal or whatever. You had a bad day. You lost everything, and
You had a bad day. Okay,
and
sorry.
everyone. Yeah. and then your neighbor, his first son was born on the fifth anniversary of their marriage. Where he got a promotion. All his colleagues are at his house with presents. His day passes by in a second, but your day, man, your day takes a year, right? And that's time in your mind.
Yeah.
But both of you went to the same spin of the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So time is relative. Time is relative, you know, to the subject, and time is also relative to space. But time in itself, it's, it cannot exist by itself. Even, the time of the universe, how old is the universe? We can only conceive of time when we look at, the time that our universe has existed. We cannot conceive of a time before the Big Bang because there was no existence before then. So time is not some absolute thing. It is connected to, to space, and that's what limits it. But the mental space, yeah, that one can go back and forth. You can be, you can imagine yourself as a child. You can, well, to some limit. I don't know, I think they say that you can think of people don't have memories earlier than 4 years old. But yeah, but you can go from thinking of yourself from 5 years old to 20 to 16 to 15 to present, to all the way in the past. And that can go back and forth, and you have more control over that. And then, if you're going too far, you can bring yourself back to the present, where now, your present space, your person who you are is back to in sync with the present time. But in your mind, you can still go back and forth, and in between. So there are different levels. It's like the moves of chess. You can go in physical finer time, you can only go in one direction. So that would be like a bishop. You can only go, diagonally in one direction. Oh, no, can the bishop go backwards? What piece can only go in one direction, forward and
The
never
pawn.
backward? Hmm?
The
The
pawn.
peons.
Oh, peons or pawns. Yes, yes. So the
Why do
pawns
you call them peons, Jose?
I don't know, pawn, peon.
Oh, I thought it was.
that must be what they call them in Dacic.
Well, they are peons, but I was just wondering why you call them peons, the pawns.
I'm sorry. That's as Tan said. It's pion in Dutch. So I thought it was another word that the Dutch stole from their French or English neighbors.
Yeah, they call them pawns in English. I don't know, but yeah.
I thought it was applicable. It's oftentimes I succeed. When I do those. Yeah, when I'm in Senegal, it's the same thing. I just guess the word, and when it's wrong, I get corrected, and then I learn. So it's pawn and indeed pawn. So yeah, the mind and the universe have similarities, and that's what we were looking for in the first episode. And we touched, or I tried to touch, that space. You can map space in cubes, in tetragrammatrons, and those other sacred geometries, and with things like time, the planet spinning. Out of the planet spinning, things like time exist, right? And in music, it's the same thing. Snares vibrate, and uh, uh, you get touched in other ways than emotion, uh, and emotion and timing, and all of those aspects are also in language.
Oh, you missed a clever one. Emotion is motion, which is time, moving through
Oh, I have cute word games
time.
on
But let's
emotion.
take a second to welcome Koku. We're joined by Koku from Vita Medicine Podcast. Karibu.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm knocked out of what was I planning to say? What was I'm going to say?
Emotion and motion. Yes. Emotion.
Yeah. I have some cute word games on that. Yeah. Unfortunately, it has biblical references, but and those are the things that I wanted to do today. But I thought, wait a minute, first a bridge. First a bridge. But yeah. uh, I discovered some things about the letter E. So there's emotion. Uh, uh, I'm next week. Next week. Do you see the similarities? Do you see what I try to say? So there's timing. There's also so our mind and the universe has similarities, but there's also similarities. The proof that our mind has those similarities is that in language there's traces of it, right? There's timing, there's emotion, um, or there's timing that creates emotion. There's pitch, i.e., frequency, and pitch is rhythm, but at a high frequency, because a drum has also a frequency. If you play a drum very quickly, it becomes a tone, right? So actually, a drum and a tone on a piano are in the same space. So it's actually the same, a drum, and that similarity in that parallel to that comparison, the drum and the pitch of a piano note. I tend to compare words as drum and intonation as the note. For example, how us black people, we are known for the high pitch when we are upset, right? You what? I can't even. I'm losing my high pitch voice. I'm getting very old. Because I'm no drinker, so it's not a whiskey voice. But you understand what I'm saying, right? When we are upset or angry, even the pitch
Mhm.
goes up.
Whereas for Europeans, when it goes down, like, hmm, you're in trouble now. That's when.
Exactly, but yeah. So you can yeah, that's the piano pitch is the that's the emotion, and the rhythm are the syllables, right? You see the comparison with the drum and the piano note,
Yes, yes. The comparison between the drum and the piano note.
right? So
Mhm.
so the distance between the drum and the piano note is the same distance between words and uh, intonation in language.
Yes.
Are you sure?
I would say words are, are the, like the alphabet, the sound, and then intonation, similar to intention, is like what is meant by it. You know, it's sort of like someone can say something but have a different meaning, intention, and all that. So that's part of the communication. Is not just about the linguistic aspect of it. It's also the non-verbal aspect of it. Whereas even in the non-verbal, someone can say something, but they can say it in a different way, and that's not, that's the non-verbal aspect of even verbal communication, because it's not just what someone says; it's how they say it, and that how is also related to body language. Is also related to, certain phrases that they use, and so on. So words my this is just my speculation that words languages that have more like different intonations or different vowels, like Chinese, the one word can be several things. I think they have deeper meanings, and they are more non-verbal than words, for example, in English, where you simply say what you mean. And even though they have many homophones, whatever, words that sounds alike, but it's always, you're not going to be confused about the context. But in languages that require you to know the intonation, then you have to have a more direct, way of reading the other person. But yeah, let's continue.
Yes. And another. I lost my thought train. So another similarity in sound, in music, and language is, of course, space, right? And we're looking at it right now, and the thought train that I missed, that I lost, is and why did I even start? I thought, okay, I lost the thought train. Let me just talk and it will come back. But yeah. But anyways, vibration and geometry is in the picture right now on the screen, right? And of course, music. The waves in music are also definable in angles. That's why I think that's why I'm looking for the note, and maybe I'm sure somebody already has been on this frequency, so I'm sure somebody knows what note is blue and what note is red and violet, and I'm sure somebody already knows. Because I'm told like the frequency of the universe is 432, and I believe that's the octave of the rainbow. And then yeah, I mean, if the rainbow is an octave, the colors have to be notes in an octave. So I'm assuming somebody already figured that out, what color is what note on the piano. But I've never encountered it. But the video is playing on, so it's going too far. So I'm gonna close this tab. And oh yeah, so our conversation is going to music and voice, but I forgot that James Furia. I forgot James Furia. We had James Furia also in the first episode, speaking of his findings in
all of the universe and life in it are vibrations. Much
right.
like tiny atoms, we try to understand the space between these microscopic
Our friend,
parts of life.
ex-keyboard man in
We know that over 90% of
I believe the
atoms
parliament.
is space, nothing. Vibration of atoms are a key to comprehending.
And he discovered some.
Without repeating the.
He retraced geometry in music, and of course it's two-dimensional. What he but that's how we work, right? We communicate. There's another way of communicating, and it's drawing. And yeah, when drawing 3D, that becomes a bit difficult on a plane. So you always have to be aware that we're talking about space, right? So what looks like a circle is actually a spiral of 7 octaves, and in those 7 octaves, he takes the bass notes of a tone ladder, and in there he found geometry. So again, in sound, you know, and to speak is sound, right? So there are so many levels in language, like emotion, just touched. There's timing, right? There's of course the content. There's the context, but still, it's also sound, right? Speaking is sound. So there's so many proof that speech is higher science, right? Speech is magic. Yeah, some of these occult symbols come back in some of the tone ladders. Yeah, even the spooky ones. 7-pointed Aleister Crowley star, i.e., the Dutch royal house. Oh, those Dutch. But anyways, yeah, he touched also that the pitch of the universe is not 440. Somewhere in history, somebody probably did that on purpose to change the pitch of the clavier. So that's what we touched. So there's what that proves is there's a lot to do if the world's rulers or whoever it were, the Knights of Malta or whoever that it was that changed the pitch, he did something to yeah. Let me use these words freely to pitch us off of our minds, right? So I wonder if because of that pitch, that the pitch that we use in our voice when we speak also is in a wrong pitch. Probably yes. Probably yes. But yeah, you guys, anything to add to James Furia and the relation? What relations do you see? Do you remember it, Tan? Were you also there, Azuli?
I remember it. I remember the musical, and that surprised me because I think it's the same guy. I'm not sure, but Fourier's series, he also did a lot in terms of deriving a simple, way to look at a series of mathematical formulas, which is called the Fourier series. It's like the Taylor series. So yeah, he's also a very important man in mathematics. If he's the same person, I imagine that he was. It was that time when people were knowledgeable in both mathematics and music.
Yeah.
But yes,
And what was that about? Was that also a James?
that was it was a mathematical series that sort of derived like the Taylor series. It's an expansion of trigonometry series, expanding the series. It's like a way to make analog into digital sounds in a way that can smooth out the different curves and translate it into a different partial sum. So it's like if you have a sine cosine, and then you can change that to make it into like a more square looking graph.
Yeah. The yeah, digital music measures at a certain frequency.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and
So
you can smooth the curve by oversampling, for example.
exactly. So he did that. So it's a mathematical. It's called the Fourier transform. So it used to transform periodic functions, and then you change that and you analyze it into a circle and to transform it into. So it goes from being sine circular into smoothing it into a more smoother function. So yeah, that's basically what it was, and it was very important in mathematics, in derivatives, but also in sound analysis. So harmonic series, the whole frequency, all of that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds interesting.
Mm,
Sounds
yeah.
interesting. But yeah, that was James Furia stopping the screen. Yeah, I remember going very fast through Karl Monk, and later on I was, I was. I'm always in doubt. So yeah, of course, I was in doubt if I communicated this well. But what I maybe one point that I think is important, maybe one point that I missed that I think is important is that these monoliths on those typical places uh, uh, that may have been those points. We all know this. Oh wait, I'm not sharing the screen. We all this one video that you're going to see there is familiar to everybody, right? This
Yes.
this is
Yes, I
familiar.
have seen it. The
So
sound
Yeah,
patterns.
we saw that.
so bear with me, right? What if all these monoliths are to tune the plate? You
What?
understand?
No.
So okay, so there was wilderness, right? Earthquakes, uh, these continental plates moving and shaking and whatever, right? And so this civilization, and I'm not with the spooky nonsense. This civilization, humans, that was here for a very long time. Time doesn't exist. They figured this out, right? And that's why they put these monoliths where they did to to what you're looking at right now, right? There's important points where those lines cross, for example, right? There's something going on there. Where it's black, where the salt flees, it's probably very the vibrations there are the strongest because the salt doesn't rest there, right?
Mm.
So by pinning down a black area, you could have salt sitting there. You understand? So the same I translated to the crust of the earth. So there's vibration on the crust of the earth, right? It's
Mhm.
too much, right? And we tune the planet by creating these monoliths on these special places, just like acupuncture, right? That stuff that Chinese people do with needles. You following me?
Okay.
So yeah, that was the function. That was the function of. Let me put it back to as a reminder. That was the function that, let me stop this screen and present Karl Monk for a few seconds. Karl Monk was this dude that an old fighter plane pilot with his hobby, and he discovered that volumes, measurements, all kind of measurements around these monoliths all around the world have a relation with each other. Be it the diameter of this thing can be the surface of can be the floor of this little pyramid, for example, and the large one, Giza, can have a relationship with Stonehenge, right? So he discovered it, and he's yeah, I don't know the right word, but he's in Dutch we say hij is aan het kloten. You know, he's fumbling around with numbers and decimals, etc. But you know, these must be absolutes, right? These ancient peoples must have worked with absolutes and no decimals, if you understand what I'm saying. Like p is actually a number, but if you try to express it in decimals, in how is that number system called? When you count to 10, you go to the next sequence, 20.
Yeah, the decimal system.
The decimal system, right? So obviously they had a larger understanding of how the universe actually works, because I believe they worked with absolutes. But I digress. Yeah. So in the past we understood the universe way better, and so I think we healed the planet. But the core of the message is that everything is based on sound. Everything is based on vibration. Even the location of these monoliths. Hence, what I think is the functions of a lot of these monoliths, to tune the crust of the planet. So, am I also already crazy to you guys?
Crazy enough, but we get it too. We're just as crazy.
I mean, I'm just trying to see how's this going to free the earth. That's all I'm saying.
All right. No, well, thank you for the reminder, because yeah, that's actually that's always I think that's my prison, right? To see how to free our people. But anyways, a spoiler, Illusi, Zuli, excuse me. A spoiler is that we are going to do it with words and imagination, right? What I just did with words, that's how we're going to free the planet.
With words.
No, with what I did with words, because we are caged by words. They have us in their spell.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's very easy. They have us in their spell. So to become free, you know, you can run, but if you're still in their spell, if your imagination is not the image in nation that your nation needs, then you still won't succeed. Right? So what is freedom, right? Is freedom repatriation, and then still think like how we have been programmed? Is that freedom? Is freedom going back and doing exactly what you learned to do in Europe or the Americas?
Mm.
So thank you for giving me the chance to touch that. So yeah, that was Karl Monk in um, the second episode. That's what Tan was talking about. Tan, Ak, Twi, and Akan.
What?
Yeah, the second episode we spoke of Twi and Akan, and that there actually is just one language, and that all other languages are the derived from it. So in the second episode, we had two speakers, three actually, but two speakers in one video, and the first speaker was actually the most important, because he actually explained. Um, that Twi was the one and only language, right? And how he proved it was actually with tricks that I just did with the word imagination, but he did it with he gave an example of a word that is an expression that is a lot used a lot and explained a lot in the Western world. But he explained it so profoundly, and he was actually speaking and looking at the word in Twi.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a, in imagination is a deeper, there's a deeper, the sound of the word imagination gives a more sound explanation of what imagination is, right? The word imagination exists, but if you give it some space, if you give it some space, image in nation, then the word imagination gets profound or sound significance in what a revolutionary, what a black person would would say to another black person when speaking of identity crisis. So the word imagination is very much applicable as a weapon because it hides image in nation. You understand?
Mm-hmm. So
And
in French is it's the same word is imagination.
yes, yeah, French and English is maybe one third is the same, man. It's just the pronunciation. Imagination, imagination. I believe it's even spelled exactly the same, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see do you see the power? Do you see the power?
Yes. It's just like the words. Maybe that might clear it up. Like the word center, right?
Yes,
If
Satan.
if you remove the N and put it at the end, it's Satan. So
Yes,
it's like the word live. Live is evil.
yes,
Lived
yes,
lived is devil.
yes. And I'm glad that we spoke a lot about time and space, because what you just did, you didn't respect time and space, because you were supposed to read in the West. You were supposed to read from left to right, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if time and space doesn't mean nothing to you, then the word live indeed is the same as the word evil,
Mm. If
because
you mean
he can just stand in front of it, behind it, and from the left, from the and maybe we have to do an episode about that, because the Dogon, they actually approach language like that. They approach words
right to left.
from the many sides,
Mm.
or from the many angles. Let me put it that way. They approach words from many angles. So they always, uh, let me put it in my way. They always take in account the synonyms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm guessing when they speak of imagination, they also speak of imagination, because that's one angle of the word. But a synonym of the word is another angle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was episode 2. Episode 3 uh, was the occult power of language,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was I took the Enochian language as an example, but since then, since then, 10 has been bombarding. I've seen a lot of stuff coming from 10 about, yeah, witches, spells, and demons.
Hey, if you send me down one rabbit hole, I'll just go down all the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, but there were good ones there. There were good ones there. Yeah, I mean good ones in a sense like, hey, I can get with this, you know, because all those spooky things and you know, the Bible and Quran, etc. I tend to push it towards philosophy, right? So I tend to look at it as the same function as fairy tales, not fairy tales, but the same function as fairy tales. There's something to learn there, you know, when they speak of demons, for example, I think of personality disorders or mental disorders, emotional disorders, right? Because I see similarities, you know. I mean, uh, borderliner, uh, multi personality disorder, uh, covert narcissist. You know, it's not that these people are unique. So you could think, oh, he or she is possessed by that and that demon. She is possessed by that and that demon. So I'm looking when people speak of demons and explain their features, I immediately I look for something in psychiatry.
I would say it's just the unknown, or the outside, or the other dimensions, because depending on what era of, of mankind we're in, it could be anything from good and malevolent spirits to, to God, to ghosts, to, terrifying beings, to time lords, to whatever it is, to vampires. And so whatever it is that people can imagine, yes. And that for me also, if the imagination is the image of a nation, so it's a shared, vision of the world in a way. So that's why propaganda is also a way to capture, that image and make it into, their own. But in any case, the whole idea of of language, when I look at it in terms of the language of the Enochian versus Akan, I would say it's like the looking at, one was the language of the vision of outside, the language of the angels, or the language of the unknown, versus the natural language. And yeah, they say that the Enochian language is a real language. I'm still not sure, because it says they have the same grammar structure and so on. But I would say that the Akan language is a natural language. So real versus natural, a natural language, because it comes from meanings from, nature, from the relationship of man and nature. Even when they were describing, that a man is the servant of a god and so on. So that was the relation. Anyway, I didn't want to go too far, so yeah, I'll end
Yeah,
there.
yeah, we're resuming. What do you think? What do you think, Tan? That this Enochian language compared to the second episode, the Twi, were you impressed? I mean, I mean, I mean, our brother in our brother in the single language, our second episode in this mini series. That brother made a lot more impression than the old stinky British dude. You know, the British dude bombarded you with so much information, but still, that one single example that the Twee brother gave was mind blowing. The word game that he did.
Yes, I would say this, that for me, the main difference was that in the Enochian language, the meanings were in the individual symbols, whereas in the Akan language, it's not just in their symbols, with their dinkra and so on, but in the whole totality of the word.
Yes, yes, like the universe,
Mm.
like the universe. It was up and down, inside out, outside in. In any angle that you approached the word, it meant something.
Yeah. And it was also related to other words. So, you had, Amen, Amen Ra, you had, the names of Kwame, Kwaame, the servant of the god of Ame, and so on. So all those words were related to each other in their totality, not just in their sounds.
And
Whereas when you
in every direction, even time. So even the evolution of the word, the etymology of the word was on point.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So yeah, that to me, so I would say that the Akan is the natural language. Is like the natural language of the people of Earth, and then the Enochian language is something that comes from outside. It's something that we as humans we may not fully understand. I don't know whether it was for good or for evil, or what was the intention behind it, but
Yes, in the beginning they even compared it to speaking in tongues. They were not sure what they were doing or saying. So you know, it's there's I mean their spells
it
are a
does.
joke compared to our languages. Yeah,
Yes, but it's
Julie,
sort
are you
of like a
listening?
cheat code. It's sort of like a cheat code to something.
Yeah, I'm
It's like
listening.
Yeah. So I asked that on purpose, Julian, because there you go. There's the power, you know. So they are how do you call it? When you tap on you can't see nothing, and you use your hands as eyes, right? You try to touch everything because you see nothing. That's how they have the world under a spell.
Yeah, you said that's how they got the will under a spell.
Yes, they are blind themselves and they are stumbling forward, right? And when you listen to the brother explaining the power of Twi and why Twi was the only language, well, that's it's incomparable. John Dee may have had some kind of demon delivering him something, but I was still not impressed. I'm still more impressed about what's in language, the versatility of language, because language is a reality construct, right? So if you can
Mhm.
make language that liquid, but it still doesn't fall apart, that's power.
I think that what John Dee and the rest of his contemporaries came to the conclusion was that the human language, whatever it was still fragmented, it was flawed, and that this new language that came from outside was the more, um, the deeper knowledge of language before it went. Even the Christians, this whole speaking in tongues and so on, it was supposed to be almost speaking like the tongue of angels. It was supposed to be something that was outside of human knowledge, that you were possessed by something that was beyond you. So when he looked at that, he looks at human language as necessarily, flawed, because they're so different, they're so, subject to human weaknesses and so on. So he wanted something that was beyond that, and he felt that he had accomplished material knowledge, and he wanted, the extra material, so to speak. And also it was a search for immortality, because Enoch was the only man who did not die in the Old Testament. So they
Yeah.
felt that he had the secret, and that's one of the reasons why they also ate of the mummy, because they thought that the mummies had some secret to immortality. That's why they could preserve them.
The irony to eat somebody that died in search of immortality.
Yes. And that's the way, alchemy was a way to change the internal geometry, because that's what atomic physics is all about. You're looking at the smallest geometry, or the
Yes,
smallest transmutation.
transmutation.
Yeah, transmutation, the changing of the physical structure,
Right.
physical
But
atomic.
listen, let's take the word transmutation, right?
Yes.
So that's where I wanna what I want to understand. That's the answer to Julian's question. So how is this going to lead to freedom, right? So we have the power with those languages with our languages, right? Or with our flexibility in language. I believe that it's more, right? I really believe that those are our languages. With our languages, Patois, Kranglish, uh, uh, Ebonics, Creole, with our languages, the versatility that is in our languages. When we dwell in other people's languages, we can juggle with their language, and that's because where we come from, the way that we communicate, right? Very versatile, very open and free, but more precise than the whole English dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Just because we are actually looking to communicate with each other and not command each other, right? It sounds contradictive because through slavery, there we speak like commanding each other, but we're checking if the message came through. And now I lost my thought train again. Oh yeah, transmutation. So that's what you do with reality, right? So reality is a language. Reality is a language construct. Language is a reality construct. Excuse me. Language is a reality construct. So in England, in English, in anglophone, in the anglophone world, I'm in their reality construct, right? So if I can break the construction of that reality, if I can break it to pieces, that it doesn't make sense anymore, isn't that the way to our freedom, to confuse our enemy?
You know what is interesting while you're saying that with the Bible, right? In the Bible, the way to confuse the people was to have them, originally everyone spoke the same language, pre-Bible, and then they built the tower up to heaven to try to get to the heavens, right? And then the way of the confusion was to strike them. God struck them, and they all ended up speaking different languages. What's funny is that, in the conquest of Africa, that was actually the opposite. We had several languages, and in our being colonized, we actually ended up speaking the same language. So, in the opposite of when. So in the Bible, when the people were trying to rise up, they were struck down with different languages. And for us, when we had different languages, we were struck down with, similar ones. So we
Yeah.
all left speaking, two or three
So,
main languages.
so
Yeah.
what is language actually? Because they have grammar and dictionaries, etc., and we don't have that, right? but still we communicate. We are not asking ourselves if I pronounce it well. If I do, if I'm not sure if I pronounce it well, or if I'm not sure if that's the name of the object, I ask the receiving end if he understands what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
what is language actually? What is this? Yeah, so the comparison, right? The contradiction that you just made. Were they talking about language as we assume that language is today? That word game that they made out of it, instead of connecting our guts while we speak.
Hmm. Yeah, so language can either be a tool of control or, or division
Distraction.
or distraction, a tool of unity or a tool you know, of division. So, in a way, unifying us in one language, yes, it unifies us linguistically, but it separates us in terms of a people.
Yeah,
So,
it separates us from ourselves. It unifies
yes.
us on the field or in the factory or in
Mm-hmm.
the system. It unifies us. It
Mm-hmm.
unifies our systems, as
Mm-hmm.
in the significance of system in the psychiatry world. But it divides us. It separates us our from the individual that we are.
Yes. So it only unifies in a way that is useful to the system, not in a way that is beneficial to the person.
Right, the person or the community or or the country. Everybody is off. Everybody is off, not on point through language.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
So
because it's the way that we define our reality. So, if you look at something and you define it you know, as freedom, yeah, and you don't look at it as, selfishness or irresponsibility or not having, yeah. So they're terms that can define pretty much everything and nothing at all. So words like this, anybody can make it sound anything, like freedom can mean anything good or bad. It's supposed to have a positive connotation, whatever is being described. And the word fascism or dictatorship and all those terrible sounding words, they are meant to have, negative, description, no matter what you're talking about. So language defines our reality, and not just our perception of it, but our reality itself. When you look at something and that's how you define it, that's what it becomes. So
right, right. So the revolution in the mind that makes us conscious about the power of language, and this consciousness makes us apply this power. Right. So where is this power applicable? Between you and your children, right? You take it when you speak of history or his story. Make your surroundings aware that it's not just a word game. We are reconstructing our reality. We are breaking loose from the chain that this spell called English is.
But it's not just English. Why are we using all English? At the end of the day, whatever, wherever your children are, where you are, that language is a spell against your chi,
Yes,
against your
I
soul.
just gave the example English because we're speaking of English, but it's true. It's true. Yeah. But
Every
these word
colonial
games are applicable in any language that I speak. It applies.
every colonial language is against as becoming the better version of ourselves. So, because like even because I think I put that even the word black in every language, it's like it's not a
Negative.
good thing.
Yeah.
So
We had a train accident in here yesterday or the day before, and they say today is a black day in history. And that's an example that I give every day when they say that today was a black day in history. I say what black as my grandmother. So today was a good day. What do you mean? It was a black day in history?
yeah, I was watching. I think I put that in the chat one time. Is the word black? It's like black male, black cat. What is it? Some other thing where the word black is used to. It's like even in Spanish, negro means black. So negro is equal to black. So that word itself, and the person calling that word itself is a negative, has a negative connotation.
Yeah. In Dutch, yeah, you have a black heart. It means that
Yeah.
you are a super evil person.
Hmm.
Um, Black money is when you work without the IRS knowing, so you're not paying taxes
And
for
the
for
and the and the and the Europeans, the Christianity and Islam, they say black magic.
yeah,
The
yeah,
word the word and Boana just said black market, black ball. So
yeah,
another way to free, how do you change the word black to be like,
yeah.
yo,
But look, we can speak English, but we should not get hurt by it, because what is black? My grandmother is black. So it's good. Black is good. When I close my eyes, all my ideas, all my words, everything I think about comes from black. Come from the blackness that is my mind, the infinite blackness that is my mind. You
but
know, Christians say, yeah, one candle can defeat blackness. No, because from the moment that you light the candle, there's shadow, your shadow behind you. You're looking at the candle, but behind you on the wall there's a shadow of you. So it's a joke when all the walls are gone in that same room where that candle is lit. When all the walls are gone, the dark has won. With all these stars, billions of stars, the sky is still black, right? So how can we black people, why haven't we found out? Why do we feel hurt when people speak like that, when we know better? Close your eyes, infinite darkness.
the funny thing is, to me, black is calming. Black is relaxed. Like when I close my eyes and I see like it's relaxing, sleeping, but at the same time, they have the words, the language has used that word to destroy
Yes,
our.
but your mind is stronger now that we are talking about, right? What I just said, isn't that true? Isn't that true? Every idea on this effing planet came out of darkness, out of the mind of a person. How is black evil? Impossible. So
So
why can't we? Why do we have to go by their rules? Even in their language, we don't need to go by their rules. If we go by their rules, we lose, because then we get hurt because we're speaking English, and we're taking English as them. Today was a black day. There was a train accident here, there, and there, and there.
and it's again like even the word black magic, because I was speaking to this person, this Muslim person, and she said, "Oh, don't use black magic. Black magic is evil." But when they talk, why do they call it black magic? Black people should use that.
Yes.
People,
Yeah,
people,
yeah. Finish the sentence. Black people should use that.
people should use that as a empowerment. But from years, centuries of the word meaning this, me and you and 10 could come up with that, but most people, it's like the word the snake. You know, when they say when somebody does when somebody stabs you in the back, they say, "Oh, he's a snake." But when you look at black culture, black pe- African culture, indigenous culture, they have respect for the snake. So when you yourself, you be like, "Oh, this guy is a snake." Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. We
So
speak
they use
contrary to our spirit and our.
yeah, it's like the word zombie, which means snake. It's like you using a language that's counter. What is it? Counterintuitive? What is it? That you're using a word that
Counterproductive.
yeah, counterproductive against yourself, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, yeah. But
And it's like even
you
when
do it. You do it when you subject to their reality construct. What is a reality construct?
but the
Language.
but
So
like
so if we subject to their, we can apply their language or we can subject to their language.
but we are submitting to their language because even when you go to a funeral, you dress in black. That that also has an effect on your brain when you think about yourself. When
Yeah.
African people think about themselves, it could be the black means we could change that meaning that where you are returning to the infinite.
But black, black is so beautiful in black clothing. In Senegal, hey, one person that I have an eye on. She dresses sometimes when she dresses Western. She dresses black. Man, she herself is as black as her clothes, right? And that looks so beautiful when she has a particular dress on. Man, that looks so beautiful. So why do we dress black at a funeral? Because somebody else does it. You know, the same person that tells us, that forces us to think negative at the word black. And third world, third countries. Nowadays they call it third countries instead of third world countries. They know what well, but anyway,
If you
if,
come,
if we subject to all these terms, then we will never feel good.
I mean,
Every day is like an age, and his day passes swiftly because his day is always good and our day is always bad.
And that's why I think that people should learn a second language, even if it's not necessarily an African one, but just a different language to see how, the sensibility of the English language, or how, the thinking can be different, or the description of how you see things are different. Even they say, which is not true, but they used to say that, there's like 20,000, 20 something words for snow in the Eskimo language, which is not true. There's different types of snow actually. So they have a word to describe every single one of them. But what's interesting, especially if you're from a non-English speaking language, is that how many words there are in the English language, even for just the word hate. Hate, detest, loathe, disdain, envy, just horrible attributes for hateful words. Even the different negative words, disgust. Um, English is there's a more language words to describe negative emotions than usually than the positive ones. But in any case, when you see how how in language is such a trap, it's a trap for the mind, because if you're not able to see outside of your cage or outside of the bars, you can only imagine how it is to be outside of it. Yeah, you can be in a different cage, but even being in a different place can also show you the differences that you have. It's like going to a different country, or even a different state and seeing, oh, you guys don't have this and that and the other. And that's when you really start to see, to notice the day-to-day things that you wouldn't otherwise have known. So, having a different way to compare things, even the way, language is structured, the way that certain things are described or are put together. Yeah, I think it's a good experience. Even if you don't learn the language fully, just knowing, the differences in language structure and description is always a good thing. Yeah, yeah. So English, unfortunately, it's our way of bridging the gap, but it's also a way that we are tied, to the bank, I guess. So we can communicate with other prisoners, but we can't fully leave.
Oh my God. I don't know what you were thinking here, Dan.
Okay, did I go off the deep end?
You went off something, but I don't know what it was.
What type of stick you were talking about? I don't know.
Oh, with Bona Haguziki, he was talking about
Or stick up.
a stick up.
Do,
Yes.
do you know that in my youth I had those type of problems a lot. And I think that it has to do with the timing that my parents moved here, right? Because I these kind of things I had them. Oh man, I remember. I cannot think of a good example right now, but I had this so much in grammar school. Like stick them up. Yeah, but what do you mean? And why when I got to know and understand, but how who comes up with this?
Yeah.
I was so confused about language in my youth.
And for me, I thought when I had stick him up, I thought that your hands are a stick. Like, why do you want your sticks to be up? Like, stick them up.
Yeah,
Stick what
but it's
up?
also a verb. It's also a verb to stick out your hand, to stick
Oh
out your
yeah, that
arm.
is true. Oh, you know what? Yeah.
Oh, it's only now that you got him.
Yeah. There's so many things I've always wanted to ask, but I just let it go. I just said, you know what? I don't know it. Yeah, I'm just going to let it go. So, yeah, stick them up. Stick them up. Stick what up? Why? You know what? Yeah.
Give me the stick first before.
Because I would think so. I was like, it would make more sense to say put them up because you'd know that put your hands up rather than stick them up. Anyway, so you learn where these things come from. But yeah, yeah. So that's where that came from. That came from what abracadabra. Well, yeah, that's what this whole words when people may put a spell, they usually have a word to go with it. That was what this whole magic was supposed to be. Magic was a way to change reality by use of the power of language, incantation, not just ritual, but even the rituals were always accompanied by words, either by saying the name of the deity or entity or whatever that you're summoning, or by saying a certain words, a certain series of words or sound that was supposed to produce an effect. So abracadabra is the famous one, but it all comes from the those spells that people used to do, like in Harry Potter, something 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 in Latin, and so.
Yes, but this is the speaking in tongues, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah,
like speaking
because
in tongues. But when you hear this lady speak, right?
mhm.
When you hear this lady speak, let me see. Mm, and what she says. So what she speaks, but what she says, right? So she's playing with words, but how she plays with words, she doesn't only give two meanings. She gives 5 meanings, right? She's telling you 5 things at the same time. And 5 is just a number, but it's more than just the 2 meaning of the words. The 2 meaning of the words even have a relation with the words in between themselves, and that relation becomes another member of the connection, if you understand what I'm saying. Anyways, like
I would be
like white people teaching colored people history, right? No, that's not history, that's his story, right?
yes.
And in Dutch it's even more powerful, right? In Dutch, the word geschiedenis, that's one word, and that means history, but it's actually 3 words, and those 3 words tell you you cannot explain history more exact than that, because it's geschiedenis, but if you split it up, it's geschied and is. So occurs and is, right? You cannot describe history more accurate than that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to their through their education system, you're fucked. So this lady here, yes, you can see her. This lady, maybe you know her because she went viral a couple of times with the complete thing. But this part is essential. I want you to hear this part, because this.
Entangling the language to foster illusion.
Oh dear, 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 oh dear. Where's the volume? Can I can I can I kick it? The dear. Anyways, you could hear her voice, right?
And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with the word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned. For the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind. And at first, I suspect.
One more time, because it goes deep, and it's really, she really says and demonstrates what she says, and what she says and demonstrates is where I'm trying to go with this. And again, to answer the question, it is really posed. Yes, that's what I'm looking for, to free the world. How is this going to free the world? Well, the first jail that we're in is our language construct, our system. Language is the first psychological system that is our barrier. I mean, English people, they have a hard time learning another language, because everybody speaks English, right? So it's very hard. I mean, if the whole world translates I mean, the whole world speaks your language. Everywhere you go, you will find somebody that speaks your language. How are you ever going to escape from English if you're an American? Right? Everybody wants to be with the American. Everybody wants to speak with the American. Everybody does his best to sound American, right? So how is an American ever going to escape from his cage? And yeah, if you understand other languages, you may escape by accident, right? So I'm going to play it one more time because it's so, this snapshot of the whole thing. And the whole thing is maybe 3 minutes, but this is so powerful. Can you guys follow? Are you on are you on the same frequency as me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you guys.
It's crazy what she says, how she says it. It's so sound. But here we go.
Expected hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned. For the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
Can I not shuffle? Shuffle. I can't shuffle. I cannot shuffle in the short. Anyways, you got it, right? It's damn powerful. What she just did. She explained it, demonstrated, and demonstrated, and showed it. Yeah, yes, indeed, Bwana Agaziki. Yeah, German. Uh, and that's even the simple the simple jokes, you know. Let me see. I have this. Let me see if I can find the complete one, and then I wanna um, then I wanna close down. So here we have a last the whole thing actually. It's the whole thing. You just saw a snippet of something that's about 3 minutes. So let me see. How did I get that? Present, show screen. Yes. So yeah, here it is. Listen to the whole thing. 2.5 minutes.
So, what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this: we awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance, with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. And you would have to be in a weekdays to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind. And at first, I
Can you see it on the screen? Can you see it on the screen? Wait, I can also.
No, she's not on the screen. Something called Word Magic is.
Yeah. Lauro Ariaca. That's her. Oh wait. Oh.
Her name is Laurel Ariaka.
Yes. Here it is. The video is old because I saw it maybe 15 years ago already. And with these shorts, you know, people steal other people's shit and run with it. But because I've heard this, but the people that tried to steal it from her didn't go as deep as her. But anyways, this is her, Lauro. I'm dropping the link in the chat, Aguziki. There you go. So yeah, but she's just one, you know. You have guys, you know, especially these word wizard in rap and spoken word, crazy man, crazy. But it's a pity that they use it to entertain people or to.
Can I ask you a question?
Or for their ego, because this is really this is magic. This is a really powerful weapon. Yes, please, Erzuli.
In your language, right? Is there a word for job? In your
Not for job. Not for job. There's a word for working, of course. There's a word for working. There are various words for working, but there's no word for job. Oh, you know, if I look at the Portuguese, oh my God! If I look at the Portuguese for word, for job, oh my God! Oh my God! Emprego is nailed down. You know, but it's by nil. Emprego. Prego is nil. Is you know, by the way off. Inside with, you know, but in this case it's by the way of the nail. So you're nailed down. You know, but it's one word, of course. But if you give it some space, you know, your mind is a lot of space. If you give it some space, it's it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, same. Like in Kiswahili, work is just kazi. There's no difference between work, and that's everyday work. There's no distinction between job and, let's say the work it takes to pull something up, whether paid or unpaid. It's simply work, or something you have to do, something you should do. It's all just work. So work, and there's no jobs. But the other thing that is also, interesting in English, you for work, you have things like, occupation, you are occupied, it's almost like you're taking over. Employ, like the word ploy. Ploy is like a ruse or a scam. You're involved in a scam to take something from you, or you're in the service of. So even in English, the word for job
Yeah,
is, yeah,
yeah,
is
but look, if we are in our right minds, right? If we step out of English to look at English, look what we found.
yeah.
Look how
And
many
even the word
landmines are
service.
in those languages. What did you say, Tan? Sorry.
No, I said even in the word service, you have that word vice.
Yeah, service. So the vice is to be respected, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, this what we are doing now was what I was planning. Last week I said, yeah, some of these things that I encountered myself, but at the very last moment, or this morning, I thought, wait a minute, let's do a bridge. Let's resume. Let's try the resume, make it a package, and then go forward. So yeah, I'm thinking about call it a day. Or maybe you guys have a lot to. Maybe you guys have something to add or to subtract or to criticize or to doubt or to underline.
Oh, wow. You've been, looking at your synonyms dictionary.
Again. Sorry.
I said, you've been consulting your synonyms dictionary, using all your big words on us.
It's all I got. You are the big word. You guys are the big word people.
Uh, okay, I'll say this, and then I'll try to be brief. So, language is merely, the bridge between meaning, understanding, and expression. So, when you see something, the way to explain it to yourself is to have a word for it. Even speaking to yourself, even when you're having a conversation with yourself, you still need a language. You still have a bridge to yourself to describe to yourself, how you feel or think or so, or perceive what it is that you experience. So, even if you have a crazy, dream, or a crazy thought, or a crazy imagination, you still have to tell yourself, okay, so I'm thinking, you're the first person who you talk to in whatever language that you do. And then, so that's a bridge within, the person. And then the second bridge that it is a bridge between you and the other person. So you have to come up with a way that you can now, put the images and the thoughts and feelings in your head into somebody else's head. And it's almost like a breaking the code. So whatever they have in their head and you have in your head, you have to bridge those two together and come up with some sort of understanding between the two of you. And then that's if you speak the same language. Then if you don't, that's also another two bridges to cross. So when we look at, we're trying to summarize with the past episodes. So when we look at the Akan language, it was the natural relation between, the sounds, the relation between yourself, the outside with the other people and nature and so on. So the meanings of the words and were not just with the sounds themselves, but it was also, the words were also related with other words in meaning. So so your Amen, you'd be, your Amen Ra, the servant of God. Even the word man, for them, man was a divine being, or a child of God. You cannot describe a man without invoking the idea of God. So for them, words were not simply, just a mere description of things in relation to themselves, but actually in relation to other things. So I think maybe an example of that would be to describe, let's say, a fruit as a child tree or something like that, to describe the meaning has, is in the sound of the word. So if that tree is what we know to be this thing, then a fruit is that which comes from a tree. So it's like a child tree or something like that. So not exact, not the best example, but some, a meaning of the word is related to its, its etymology. And then in the Enochian, I think one thing that the Europeans have always were impatient is in going beyond the earth. They were always eager to, find the afterlife, or find what was beneath and abroad, and so on. Like even with the space mission, we have not even figured out life on Earth. Life on Earth is still very precarious with how things are going, but even before we had solved all the problems of the earth, there was already, missions to go outside of the earth, to go explore the moon and the stars and the universe. And we still don't know, we still haven't mapped out, I think, even 70% of the oceans. I think it might be even more than that. So before we even complete our exploration of earth, we still want to go beyond. So with the Enochian language, it was the attempt of people, a lot of Europeans in the most recent history, to try to transcend the natural language and to go beyond and find the secrets beyond, the earth, the secrets beyond the universe, whether it was, aliens or whatever it was extraterrestrial, not in a spooky UFO way, but outside of the earth. It was something that was outside, what we had. So it was like a shortcut to knowledge beyond. And such knowledge, I think, even in the stories of Prometheus and all this, the stories of forbidden knowledge, of knowledge that comes at a high cost and a high price. So I think that, even if there was wisdom in the Enochian language, I think there was a high price to pay for their, for their
for the brutality to seek knowledge.
Yes, knowledge price sometimes is steep. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Buona Aguziki, I'm still learning. English. I lost. Oh yeah, here it is. When did I? I think after school. You learn English. I had a very for the most time I had a very it's actually the only teacher that I think was really concerned with his students, because he noticed that that something was not. He was the only one that put me apart to ask if everything was all right at home. So he spotted something. So it was a teacher that inspired. We learned English singing Michael Jackson songs from Thriller, among others, and Beatles, and with holidays, approaching holidays. For example, the last day before the Christmas holidays. For example, it's Sinterklaas in here, and with Sinterklaas, instead of the Sinterklaas bullshit, with him we would do songs that we the students picked. For example, we did La Di Da Di from Doggy Fresh and Slick Rick, right? So La Di Da Di was popular in those days, so it must have been 83 or 84. And La Di Da Di, we like to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody. We're just some, yeah. He would decipher it and make it an English lesson, right? So yeah, my entrance into English was inspiring, and of course here in the Netherlands, you know, a way to learn English is just to watch TV. You know, yeah. We don't speak over. You know what French and German do. You know, they do a voiceover, but the Netherlands is so small. You know, why? You know, so they type translation. It's subtitled, right? Subtitled, and with subtitles you learn a lot of you know, you learn languages, especially when you had a start at school. You know, when you're already in the language, then the TV can help you a lot. You know, I should watch way more French to to do my French, but that's a whole that's a long story for insignificant questions. Wow, Buana, your questions are insignificant, Buana. No, just kidding. I believe we succeeded with the resume. What do you guys think?
I mean,
You still have a lot of questions.
well, it's like listening to what she says, like especially she just said the word hello, and in reverse it's all hell. It's just like the word God in reverse is dog. So it's like now when you're looking at it, it's like, because she said something. She said job means something in the language. I forgot what she said.
Yeah,
When
in
I,
Hebrew.
hmm?
In Hebrew.
It means something. She said, I forgot the word she said. It was something.
Yeah, job. You know something funny in the Dutch. I forgot what she said, but she made me think about Job, the book of Job.
That's exactly what she's talking about. Because she just
Exactly. You remember what happened to Job, and that's what she described that Job means in Hebrew.
said job lost everything. It's the funny thing. But she said, I forgot what she said it meant while she was talking. I forgot what she said.
Well, what Job in the book, what Job in the Bible went through.
Yes, he lost everything.
Yes, and he went, he went through bad times. I forgot her choice of words, but in short, she described what Job went through in that book.
It's a negative connotation either way.
Very negative, yeah.
So, but when I just Google Translate, there's no such word as job in French. French is just travail, which is work. And even in Spanish, it's trabajo, which is still work.
Yeah, but Google Translate, you got another one that's better. But Google Translate, you know, in French, of course you have you have other words. You have boulot. I don't know exactly what boulot means, but I believed boulot meant job.
You know what's funny though, just to throw one in there. There's words for unemployed, jobless, and so on, but there's no such concept as workless, you know, or unworked, or you know, something who has no work. So even in economic terms,
Good one, Dan. So there. You made some words suspicious, right? So the whole word job is not a word because it doesn't deserve a place in the logic, in the geometry of language. It doesn't deserve a place.
yeah, only in its negative aspects in terms of either you have a job or you're jobless. But either way, whether you have it or not, you're still not happy, you know. But a worker is somebody who's happy with their work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So you can be jobless, but you can have a job and you're still happy. What is the most, you know, most complaint that people complain about is their job, their work, you know.
But what you just did is also the essence. We have touched the essence so much today. So you compare job and someone with a job and a worker. There's so much. There's so much angles to look at the difference between those two words. Then.
Yeah, because a worker owns their work, but there's no such thing as a jobber. You just do a job, or you're hired for a job, but you
Come
don't
here.
own the job.
Come here. You're done kicking the ass, right?
even in German, the word is not job; it's something else. So I don't. Why did they choose job for that in English?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
The
just
name. What was first? The job person in the Bible, or English using that name for?
no. It had to be job in the Bible.
Job in the Bible came first, and then I think Job, as a
Yeah, but are you
capitalist.
sure? Because John D fucked with the Bible. Are you sure?
He might have
Jose,
inserted
the
something.
Bible's older than Old English, bro.
Yes, yes, I know, but it wasn't English. It was translated, and not in Old English.
No,
John
but
D.
John,
John D. fucked with it, and it was not on Old English. He introduced a lot of new words and shit.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that the application of the word
so
job
they
is more
said.
recent. Mhm.
So this is why this shit is crazy. This is why this is confusing, and I just rather not play the game. It says the
No, but this
word.
is why we must study it.
Nah, listen to this. The Old English word job is believed to have entered the language from Old Frankish, and the word gobe, Gobe, means a mouthful. Job is believed to have originally meant piece of work, in other words, with kindred. So this is just because they
Wait,
said
you said piece of what?
Piece
piece
of
of
work.
work.
Oh,
But remember, Tan, what our brother in episode 2 of this mini series told. He laughed. He laughed, and he literally said he laughs about what Westerners call etymology.
yeah.
So
What you just read, I'm like,
job, a piece
nah,
of
come on.
job, a piece of work, something to be done. 1620s from phrase Job of
Yeah,
work.
and what was the French relation? Gone, Gonae.
No, I don't even know if it's French. They said it was Gobe.
Yeah, gob, like gobbling, right?
So I
Taking
It
don't
taking
know.
sounds like a
take,
mouthful. So a mouthful
eating,
of
yeah, eating with a mouthful, yeah, gobbling.
like gobble gobble, like
I
to
I, I
gobble
think it's
something up.
far fetched. I think it's far fetched. Compared with the Hebrew significance of the word and the relation that on its turn makes with the Bible, I think their explanation is weak.
You think the Bible explanation is weak?
No, the etymology that you just read, the gob. How is job and gob? Nah, man, no. And the French pronounce it differently. I'm sure.
Because remember the J they say the J never. That's why this shit is freaking confusing.
If I was going to just, obviously, no evidence, no proof. I'm just making a wild speculation as I do. But Job is sort of found to be, not just he's a servant of God. He becomes, no matter what he's put through, he becomes. And no, I'm not talking about etymology here, just in the meaning. So God takes everything from him, and yet he's still a good servant. So that's like having somebody who has a good job. He's not a worker; he's simply a servant. But no matter what happens to him, he still has to do everything in order to keep his job, in order to stay in his job. So the whole idea of Job being a servant of God is like someone, someone who's employed being a servant of the so-called, employer
Yeah,
who's
that's a stronger explanation, right? Then that makes more sense than the French GOBE.
yeah, meaning wise. And you have to also remember that words have both etymological, where they're related to words, and also related meanings. So you
But
may have Yeah, so they may be related in meaning as well as in sound. So I think
So the name Job is a boy's name of Hebrew origin, meaning persecuted.
okay.
Persecuted.
If
Yeah,
you
right.
focus on the patience of the biblical Job rather than his trial, his name becomes more usable. He was, after all, the Old Testament hero of the book of Job, whose faith was severely tested by God, but
Hey,
remained
listen.
faithful.
So in the United States, the 13th Amendment is also job, right? Persecuted. When you're persecuted, you have a job. You're going to jail and you're going to work in jail.
Yeah, and if you're the biblical Job was persecuted by God, then the modern person is persecuted in their job by their employer or by capitalism or by whoever. But either way, they can take everything from you, and you still have to be, a good worker.
And another thing about their etymology, right? Their explanation for words changes by their agenda, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they say it comes from Gob, it's bullshit. They have an agenda. And
So, they said this folk etymology of Job, linked to the word Job, the biblical character who suffered many misfortunes,
yes,
a semantic development of misery and labor. Compare vulgar, whatever, instrument of torture in its Romance descendant, Spanish trabajo, and French travail. So
Damn, instruments of torture. Okay, yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
because
clever.
compared to vulgar in Latin, it's tripalium, instrument of torture. Oh, I don't know, man. But
he did a good job on you.
it's like when you pay attention to these things. It's like I heard it before. Like when you say good morning, it's like you're in the morning. You shouldn't say that. Um, that's the earn part was new to me. I never paid attention to it, but your earnings and you at the weekend, like, damn, that's crazy. If that's the game they're playing to program people. So
To feel bad all the time.
yo, I don't know, bro. This is crazy.
You know, and so they're keeping us counterproductive because we feel sad. We have to compensate that, be it by drinking or by hitting somebody else, be angry or yelling at somebody else, or go on vacation, or these fake happinesses that they sell. You know, so it pays for them. It pays, but yeah, liberation is there. You know, liberation is in the mind, is in your freedom, is in your potential, is in your imagination, right? And they uh, sculpt they sculpt our imagination with their reality construct. I'm still trying to answer your question, Azuli. Maybe I already answered it for you, but it was a good question. That's yes, that's the goal. That's the goal, brother. And you come from English, so I count on you to also have this potential to decipher their spell.
So I was talking to somebody, and then the person was saying that African people and Caribbean people, black people, they never develop a language. Like they
That's
never. Hold on, let me finish. They never. Their language never evolved. So the person would use certain words in the English language that they don't have in our language, or in African, or even the colonial language that we use, or dialect. And then the person kept saying, yo, black people, there's no word for this. We have a word for this. And then I start thinking, maybe these words are not needed. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yes.
maybe these words are not needed. Like, for example, job. Like, I don't think we have that. We only use the word job from the colonial to apply to that. To our language, certain words like love. I don't think, do we have a word? I don't even think we. I don't even think this is the same word. We don't have that.
Yeah, but the person is also ignorant, right? Because guess what's a computer called in the Netherlands?
Guess what?
Guess what is a computer called in the Netherlands?
A computer?
Exactly. So did the Netherlands not evolve? No, there was a new machine, you know,
No,
and
it's like the
and
person was.
practically everybody calls it computer.
It's like the person was saying to me when they were talking. It's like a language needs to be developed, and I'm thinking, what does that even mean? A language needs to be developed. Like, let's say they didn't have a word for 'cause for a long time that twin and Haitian people say marasa, right? But for a long time we thought that word was like was a was a French word, but marasa in French is jumeau. I think it's not
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
jumeau, but for a while we didn't know. People didn't know. People thought marasa was from a French or English language or something like that. So it's like I think our people use words to get the message across. It's just like how now when you hear black people in America speak English and certain long words, they don't use the whole long words because you understand what I'm saying? So
Yes, that thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
so it's like it's the more you look into this, it's just. But I was just thinking about that part. The person was saying, "Oh, African languages are not developed. Creole, they don't develop nothing. Da 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 da. All of this and the thing." And it's even what I just did right now. Da 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 da. That's a word,
Yes, yes, yes.
but it's like we don't give it. It's like we don't give it. We don't give it reverence until the big boss, the big colonial boss says, "Okay, you need to give that reverence."
Yeah, but it's not needed. When we communicate, it's not needed because that's not what communication is about.
So maybe in our language, our language wasn't made to enslave. I don't know, man, because the way
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, and language was just one of the ways that it was used in communication. It was not the only one. In fact, we also used a lot of sounds. Language is just one of the sounds. People think that language is the end all and be all of everything, especially written language. But before there was that, there was firstly spoken language, and before there was spoken language, there was sounds. So those sounds still stay, still work up to now. You can make a sound that somebody will see on your face. Oh, you don't like them, or you're dismissive or whatever.
Yeah,
So we
but
still have.
even before that, there was language. We,
Hmm?
we still us black people, we point at things with our lips.
Yeah. So there was we get tend to think that the one thing is everything when it's just one of many things. So the bigger aspect of it is communication or expression. You can express yourself. Language is simply one of the ways, but it's a very limited way. If you could express yourself without having to say something, that for me would be the best way to express yourself. If you have to say something, and people say, if I have to say it, then you don't understand. And women say that a lot, but there's some truth to that, because there's some things that people are just supposed to know without necessarily having to say them in words. So there are words in African languages, that comes to that. But even in the terms of love, for example, you'll find different aspects of the meanings of love versus like and all this stuff in English. There's no such difference in a lot of African language. The difference between like and like, love is the same, but it's how you use it, and you don't even use it often. You don't use those kinds of heavy words very often. So you look at some of the ways that even the meanings in some languages, one word can mean several things, and in another language, that word is broken up into 1,000 meanings. Like, but what exactly kind of love is it? Is it love for the God, like the Greeks did, or love for man, or is it love for food, or love for nature? Is it love for good things, or love for lust? Is it love for all these things? Whereas somebody might just say, well, it's just love. That's all it is. So even in the way that people, languages break down the things, is meant to aid with the expression, but it's not the end all. Just because one language has ways of expressing something and the other one has a limited way, it's not to say that they don't have an expression for it. So that feeling of love is in every culture, but the expression of it differs, in every language. So yeah, I think that we should look at language as just one of the tools of communication, but by far not the only ones. In fact, we can only, as humans, only communicate in terms of language. But imagine if there was some kind of crazy civilization where they could communicate in terms of feelings. So let's say you're feeling down. You didn't have to tell someone I'm feeling sad. They could just look at you and say, oh, I'm at I don't know, at a 3 or a 4 or whatever. So, we can imagine maybe in the past people used to be able to communicate just by seeing the expression on someone's faces, or the hand gestures they were making, or the way they walked, or the way they smiled or didn't smile, or things like that. So when emotions or things get more complex, then yes, we need language. But imagine if we didn't, that would not.
What
Yeah.
if you take it to the other side, right? So you just discussed that language is actually an extra. There are so many ways to communicate, right? But what if language has extras, right? So what if language can be used as a virus? You can make a trend out of spoken word. We can make spoken word larger than it ever has been, and you can confuse people that are tethered to English. You can I don't know how you call it, like you make something wet to
Absorb,
no,
like.
something sticks. Wallpaper sticks to,
Oh,
to
okay.
the
Yes,
wall. You
yes,
make
yes.
it wet. You make it wet, and you make it wet, and then you can pull it off the wall again, right?
Mhm.
In Dutch it's called losweken. So you let the water siple in so that it weakens, and then you can pull the paper off the wall, right?
Mhm.
And that's what that we have that power to do that to the reality construct of the colonizer. So we can not only communicate with it, so we communicate with it, but he or she gets confused. We are communicating, right? We are talking about his story, right? But somebody that is tethered to English is not going to hear his story. He's going to hear history, right? So we can communicate while infecting others with confusion. We
Mhm.
have that power with the versatility that we black people have with language. We have that power.
But Jose, in French, it's l'histoire. So
Yeah. It's not like it works in every language. It works in Dutch and it works in Dutch and English. And I should do an episode or a part of an episode about the relation between Dutch and English. I think I've spoken with
but but
10
but,
about this in
but even
private.
but even in French, is l'histoire, is that masculine, or because
Yeah, there's a rule, but what I learned try it, pronounce it with le and la, and then what sounds better is probably
no,
it.
l'histoire is it will be an L with an apostrophe.
Yes. But to find out if it's feminine or masculine, you pronounce it completely. So you say le histoire or la histoire, and then you can feel, quote unquote, which one is the better one. It's a good one for beginners. You know, advanced French. Then you probably know the exceptions, etc. But it's a good one for beginners. Le and la, just pronounce it. Le histoire, la histoire, and then what sounds better is most probably it. So I'm guessing it's la histoire. It's feminine.
La histoire, l'histoire. Music, feminine.
I'm guessing, right?
No, but you sound. Yeah, d'histoire. They said un coup d'histoire. Is it feminine? They say it's feminine. I don't know. But yeah. But what I'm saying is, can we also be like people who are telling us to look at it that way? People who are saying to look at history to say his story, right? Could that be the same people that's trying to program us to feel like that? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I think we should take it a little further. We're stuck with history, you know. We're stuck with history, but we can take it farther. You know, history is not a mystery to me. To me, it's my story. So my story and mystery, if you pronounce it differently, you know what you see. My story, mystery. His story, history. Right? So there, it's almost poetry already, right? And it's like a jingle. You can when it rhymes, you can remember it, right?
Mm-hmm.
History is not a mystery to me. To me, history is my story.
I just don't want us to be overthinking certain stuff, and then we end up enslaving ourselves with that top with.
No. We leave the house. We leave the burning house, trashing it down. The house is burning, and when we leave, we pull and push as much as we can. You know, and then when we're outside, we leave it. You know, we never speak it again. What we will speak is patois and pidgin English, but never again English. Never again Dutch. Or Afrikaans. Dumb idiots. Look how they are. You know, they leave their brothers there in South Africa, and 100 years later they come back and they call it Afrikaans. They hear their own damn language. They hear the language of their grandparents, and they call it Afrikaans.
So listen to this. When you meet,
they see power in language. They see power in language. That's clear. But sorry.
What I'm saying, when you see, I don't know if you ever meet Haitian people in Dutch or whatever. If you ask them what language they speak, they say Creole, right?
Ooh.
But when you look at the definition of Creole is Creole is a French person born in the Caribbean.
Okay. Is that your definition? Okay.
It's the French definition.
Other people like in Suriname, you know, in the Dutch colonies, Creole means bastard or mixed, right?
This is,
and on the Cape Verde Islands, it was like our N word, like, right? But in the colonial wars, we used it with pride. So I'm a Creole, yes, Creole, that's me, and we would stomp each other ourselves on the chest. In the beginning, after independence, in the parliament, people got slapped for speaking Portuguese. right? You had to speak Criollo, and Criollo is just Creole, right? But we are looking at making our own language, at documenting our own language. So we rewrite it with a Kreolu. That's how we spell it, but it's the same word.
It's just, what I'm saying is, so yeah, in the Haitian and Creole, in Haitian Creole, if you ask any Haitian, they tell you they speak Creole. So in the Creole, they don't have the letter C is not used unless it's C and H. So they will spell Creole, Kreole, or whatever. But the definition, the true definition of Creole is a French person born in the Caribbean. Just like there's just like a pig, there's Creole pigs, there's Creole things. So I was speaking to somebody, I said, when people ask me, do I speak Creole or do I speak Haitian? I say I speak Haitian. And a lot of Black people, they be like, oh, why would you say that? Da 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 da. But Creole is not a language. The word Creole doesn't mean language.
No, yeah, but we made it.
But you can't make it what it was already designated to be.
Yeah, that's cool. That's thank you for that way of thinking.
So me, I say I speak Haitian, and people be like, oh, what? That's not the correct way. And then I say, hold up, what do Italian people speak? What do French people speak? What do German people speak? So when I say that, people be like, oh, but still, it's the same thing as like.
Yeah, but nobody says bastardized Latin. They say French, Spanish, Portuguese, or Italian.
So I'm just saying that, and the same way I'm saying that we've been speaking that type of Creole for over 200 years. When does it become our own so we could name it ourselves instead of saying Creole? Because Creole is Creole. Anything could be Creole. And Creole is not a language per se.
Bro, I suspect they fool us, right? With our own language. They say we speak bastardized their language, but we speak our language, right? Haitians on Haiti, you speak the language that you spoke when you were still in West Africa. I am almost convinced of that.
I think we mostly, I would say that we definitely speak the same the syntax, because syntax in language is different. So we definitely speak the syntax. If that
yes, because the syntax is the same. The syntax of Creole, Patois, Krenglish, Ebonics, the syntax is the same. Yes.
So we are. If we are not connected by language, you are definitely connected by syntax. If that
definitely, 100, 2,000%.
If that makes any sense, but yeah, language is very. I don't know, man. It's very like that lady. You could be enslaved with your own language or with the person's language.
Yeah, but that's not the mentality that we need. That a language could enslave us. We are the mind that created languages. A human is a language creator. So it's just like how people speak about the Bible. Yeah, they conquered Africa with the Bible. How, Sway? How? No, they didn't conquer us with the Bible. Nobody wanted to read that bullshit. We had to first learn their language and then read the motherfucker. Or they had to read our language, write the book in our language and give it to us, right? So they did not conquer us with the Bible, and that's the same as a language could enslave. Yes, it happens. It happens that people get conquered by the Bible, but they conquer themselves. They put themselves under that book. They put themselves under English, under Dutch, under French.
But you can't say that, Jose, because it's not like they put themselves like they were forced to.
No, but a language is a tool. It's a tool that you can use too. So now I speak French, right? There's a lot of those type of stories of African Americans that got into the books and could do shit for their own people, right? A lot of them that they love to remember are, of course, those that got into the books, because nowadays they forgot that they had to run the other direction. You have to run from the white folks, not into their arms. So nowadays books are, if you they only remember those that they namely remember those that read books, because they are still comparing. We are still measuring with the white man's rule. So if my stack of books is as tall as white man, then I must be equally intelligent. But it's not like that. The books cage you. Languages cage you. Yes, if you let them, because if you realize that somebody wrote a book, the book is not as impactful on your life as I see people now act when they read a book, right? So same with the language. You tell me today was a black day. No, today a couple of people died in a train accident, and a black day is as black as my grandmother. So a black day is a good day. Don't speak that language with me. A black day as black as my mother, as black as my.
Yeah, but
You can conquer the English that is already in you, and then you can enslave English and let it work for you. And it's the job of artists, like poetry, spoken word, rap. There's the potential. There's the potential.
well, all I'm saying, that's again the majority of people. That's maybe for you, me, or other people, but people who have been colonized are not thinking about that, and that's to free yourself from to use the language to free yourself.
Yeah, but Julie, if I may interrupt you, aren't these same people going to a job and having a job is the ultimate of success?
Yes.
Being able to pay your bills, you understand? Those are the same people that think, okay, I'm speaking correct English, so now I'm good. I read that book and that book and that book and that book, and now I'm good. I'm having these conversation in the lunch break at work, so I'm good. Those are the same people that already got snatched by English.
But it goes both ways. The same people that don't have good jobs, the same people that are in the middle class or lower class. Do you think they have time to understand that you could use the language what we're talking about right now?
Well, maybe so you divided the population in certain classes, right? But maybe those are not the classes that we are divided in. We are divided in completely programmed, seeing the light, and dangerously free, or something like that.
Yes.
That's our class system. As long as we are POWs, prisoners of wars, that's how we classify ourselves. Is he a liability? Is he, is he a liability? Is he safe, or is he a partner? We are not in the situation of dividing ourselves into upper class, middle class, and lower class. That's where we fit in his system. But when we look at our nation, in the image of our nation, how do we classify our people when we are under siege and POWs? Is this POW? We're locked up by the enemy for 3 months, right? And every day you have to ask yourself: is this POW breaking down? Because if he's close to breaking down, the enemy will pull him out and try to question him again with torture, because he's almost there. He's breaking, right?
Yes.
So that's our situation. Is this brother a liability, or is he safe, or is he still a warrior at my side? There's no upper class, lower class, middle class for the time being. We are at war. And that's at that level is where we have to break down the system. And that's in our own perception. In our perception, he must lose strength. Look what they did to Ukraine. They lied to Ukrainians that Russia were weak. And these motherfuckers fought till their death. So we can lie ourselves to the truth. Right now we're not in a good place. But we can scare our enemy. We can destabilize our enemy. We can awe our enemy. That's what we already do. Be it breakdance, rap, sport, talent. We already awe them. Now let's do it with a purpose. Now let's do it with a purpose. And that's for next week. Dan?
Yes. Sorry, I meant to write the whole. I'll be back soon in the private. Just sorry, but I would say that the way we look at things is connected to how we express them, and if we only know how to express them in one way, which is English, we're going to be lost to the other way of looking at things. And to part of freeing your mind is also freeing the way that you express that mind, being able to find new ways of expressing it, not just through language, but also through concepts. There's something, some things are ideas that sometimes we fumble towards, and then you find a word or someone who has experienced it, and they give you the word that, gives expression to your emotions or your thoughts. So I think that in the end, we should build as many bridges as we can just to expand our minds, and also to, to see the hidden codes behind language. It's like the lady was saying, it's both tied to, their meanings, to divine ideas. And like Azuli said, it's not such, anyway, maybe it's just a coincidence, but there's those linguistic coincidences of, God and dog, and, the dog being man's best friend, and, so on and so forth. It's, someone might dismiss it, but those sounds may have some particular, meaning to it that has been lost through history. So, yeah, language is very powerful. It's a way of rearranging our reality in our own, image, in the way that we can make sense of it. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Azole.
No, I'm in agreement, with it. But language, if if that's the if that's what they did to us, we in total day. Well, the we down by 100 points, and there's a minute left on the clock.
No, I
Not
think,
100, maybe 50.
I think this is just it's in the imagination. How it's it doesn't cost money to switch to repair your imagination. So I don't think I'm very positive about this, about the potential of this. I'm very positive. But with that said, I'm I'm not really succeeding in keeping the shows short. But yeah, it's what time is it in here? Oh my dear, it's 6:20 in here, so it's almost it's time to wake up actually. So I'm going to bed. I want to thank you both, my Black Panther grammars, and as I am your pentagrammer too. And yeah, I'll see you next week. And next week,
You say 6:20 a.m. over there? Where you at?
6:20 in the morning.
Oh, okay. It's 12:30. I'm about to go to a party.
Yeah, it's Friday. I mean, what are you guys doing at home?
Yeah, I'm about to go to this party. Which I thought it was gonna be tomorrow. So I thought I was but then my friend called me and said it's today, and I was like, what? So there's gonna be some African drums. So I'm gonna go see how maybe the universe wants me to go to that party. Because I thought it was yesterday.
Do you drink, Julian?
Nah, no, I
Okay,
don't.
so you're not having one for me.
No, I'm not. Plus, the drinks are too expensive, and I'm cheap as hell. I'm not paying $20 for a little ounce of that. So I'm going to hear the drums play. Hopefully everything is copacetic because I really thought I was gonna miss this part. I was gonna miss this party if this person didn't call me. And usually I'm very flaky. Sometimes I don't pick up the phone, but somebody told me to pick up. My mind told me to pick up the phone.
Yeah, no, you have to go.
So
You have to go.
So I'm probably gonna stay there for like 2 hours or 3.
Your
And come back home.
your future baby mama is waiting there.
That's what maybe I'm thinking. Maybe. But yeah, you should have been on the line with us, Jose. They trying to lock me down, bro. Yana and Tan, they're trying to lock me down. Tell me, oh, all these don't believe the women are nice. Don't be like that.
They are nice women and
But
nice
nah.
creatures.
But
You
thank
just
God, thank to the Almighty. He's looking out for me. He's keeping me strong. These women.
whatever. You go have your future baby mama get you.
Yes. Yes. Let it happen. Like they do
Don't
too.
get gotten.
Let it happen. And but keep an eye on them.
I just did a couple of push-ups.
Hey, but yeah, I'm going to end the broadcast.
All right.
Thank you for participating. Thank you for the chat family. And next week we're going to cast some spells on you folks.
Okay, Jose, thank you, Zuli. Have a good one.
Later, guys. Later.
Peace. All right, Jose. Peace.